impossible. A perfect pipeline in the first instance. You must definitely have something that will give you issue. So I'm glad
So
that you are getting there. Eh?
I was trying to troubleshoot when my laptop got off. So I'm still trying to get it done. But the error message I got was from this because I included environmental variables in backend also. So I think they were kind of saying kind like I should put it before job or something like that. So I only place it the way you place your environmental variables at before jobs.
It may not be necessary the way I placed it to figure it out. It may not.
Okay,
You
so
may. What I gave you basically is a blueprint. Doesn't mean that it must be verbatim what I gave you. You understand? So, well, anyways, anybody has any other feedback? I'm seeing only one submission here, which is not um which is not promising. So, does anybody have any issues that we can quickly handle before the class? Today's class is going to be brief. We're only just going to introduce AWS, especially the EC2 instances, the servers, basically, because that's what will constitute your next deployment. So you're going to like deploy. What you just do is that you have to go and create an account. If you have a now that they're for sure allowing Naira cards, I don't know if Naira cards will work with AWS, but mostly we use virtual cards like Gray, GigPay, and all those ones. Create a virtual card there and then use it to create an AWS account. Because that will be your next task now. To now deploy those Docker images to AWS, to an AWS server. It's compulsory. We're not doing Vagrant anymore. We are doing core cloud stuff now. So, but does anybody have any questions so far? Please, I cannot read the chat. So if you're saying something, I may not be able to see. Someone should type on the group that class has started, please. Just type which class has started, and if possible, send the class link to the group. So I guess nobody has any question. So if nobody has any question, why is there still one submission? I'll start calling names one by one, or the ones I'm seeing here. Wisdom and Denny, how far have you submitted? Eh? Wisdom and Denny, can you unmute your mic and speak, please? Oh, Teams, please, I told you before. When you are on the call, please put your real name, your first name and your last name, please. Teams, how far? Have you submitted your assignment? What's going on? What's holding you back? Please, unmute your mic and speak. I can't, Wisdom, are you saying something? I can't hear you.
Can
I can hear you now.
I haven't, but I will do it tonight or tomorrow. I was so busy this week, that's why.
Have you? Okay. There's no this thing now. No error you're troubleshooting.
Even though I've not started, I will not lie.
Okay. Okay.
I have not started, but I will submit it tomorrow before the time elapses.
Okay. All right. Teams.
Hello.
Yeah.
So I've not submitted the previous one though.
Which previous one? Tax 4.
Yep.
What's going on?
I think I'm still stuck on the back end. I've done the front end part, just the back end part. And then my laptop has been acting up. So I think my VGA is messed up. My system doesn't come on for like 3-4 days. So those two things are a bit crazy now. But I'll try and see, I'll seek a little bit of help on by tomorrow, hopefully, so I can figure out and work on the Git actions, GitHub actions. But I'll submit them.
All right. So now first, there's no hiccup.
No, I've reached out. Assignment is not my problem. I want to understand what I'm doing. Maybe that's why I'm taking long.
Okay. Very well. Very well. Okay, Abdul Samad, good evening. Did you have any issues with the tax so far?
Good evening. I haven't really attempted the task. I've been busy this week, sir.
Okay, but
Describe
okay,
it.
no. So there's no issue that you're seeing for now.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ayus, I know that you are the boss already. So how far have you having issues with your tax?
All right. Good evening, sir. You are the boss, so I'm not the boss, so you want to buy me job. However, my place of work, I was posted because I was working in Abuja before, so I was posted to Delta State. So my movement from Abuja to Delta State have been I've been trying to settle down where I just reported at work. And so, although I saw the task yesterday when I was transiting from Abuja to Warri, so today is when I reported to work. So by God's grace, maybe today after the class, I'll sit down, understand the task, then I'll start doing it. So maybe before the end of tomorrow, I'll start be done by God's grace.
All right, who else? Elijah has already said that he's work troubleshooting. Mr. Rob Ronald, good evening. I cannot hear you. Can you hear me? Mr. Rob Ronald, can you hear me? Mr. Bashibash, please, can you change your name to your normal name, please? I can't hear you if you're saying something.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. I saw that you marked my assignment. So the latest task is that CICD for stage, I think stage 5. Yes, I'll finish it before tomorrow, and because I'm still catching up with the videos.
No,
I don't have any issues.
Wilfred, not called Wilfred. Wilfred, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, oh.
Yeah, I've submitted.
Okay, you should be the one person that I've submitted. Then I've not looked. I know I'll look into it. Thank you very much. So Mr. Adebanjo. Okay, no wahala, Mr. Ronald. I can see your message. Mr. Adebanjo.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening. How far? What's going on? Any issue with your assignment? Any feedback?
I just saw the notification on tax today, so I'm yet to attempt it.
Oh. Please give me 5 minutes. Yes. Cheers. Sorry about the delay. I went to change over. Okay, that's all for everyone. So I want to show you my screen. This is the typical AWS environment. This is Amazon Web Services. So I won't really be talking much today. I'll just show you the interface and everything. Then what you will do while working on your tax is to try and create an account. Note that you would need a virtual card to create an account. So go to Gray or Clever or GeekPay. Well, I personally use Gray. Get a dollar virtual card. Amazon dollar does not accept Naira cards. I don't know if now that CBN has dropped their regulations, they will accept, but they don't accept. They used to accept before, but they don't accept it anymore. So you have to go and get a dollar card. You understand? Open an account, then we will go from here. So this is Amazon Web Services. This is probably the first time you are seeing this dashboard. So this is the dashboard. This place to show you everything you know about EC2. Now, what is EC2? EC2 is Elastic Cloud Compute. It is the part of your AWS where you rent servers. So now that basically those things that we were doing in Vagrant, where you get a server, where you configure a server from scratch on your Vagrant. The only downside of Vagrant is that it will take a lot of complex networking to be able to allow internet to reach your server. But this one we are, this one we are practically renting a server. So this is where we are going to work on. I'm showing you what we're going to do today is just to show you the environment, show you how the EC2 looks like. Then on Tuesday, when we're going into cloud properly, I'll give you a complete breakdown of cloud computing that you would need to know. So that you understand the concepts better. Yeah, God, but for now, you basically just work with EC2s and simple AWS networking. That's what we're going to teach in this, cohort. So this is the dashboard. There are the instances. So instances are running servers, so they call them instances. So when you say, oh, I have an instance running, meaning that I have a server that's currently running. You understand? This instance is bracket running to show you that running instances are currently on. So there are instance types. Instance types are like different types of instances. Either you want a Linux instance, a Windows instance, a Mac instance. So you can practically go and rent a Windows server here. And you can rent a Windows server here and use it. Log into it like a normal laptop and use it. What most people do that have money, if they're using MacBook, sometimes MacBook will not allow you to play some games. So if they're using MacBook, they come to all these cloud instances, install Windows, latest Windows on their server. And use those servers to install games, which is not a wise decision per se, if you ask me. So instance types are the different sizes of instances that you can use. There's the 24x large, there's the 3x large, there's the 12x, there's the 48x. They're all like different sizes. There is now the compute type. There's the M for memory, R for C for compute, and the rest. So it depends. It all depends on what you want to choose. What you want to implement for your environment. Sometimes when you're working as a DevOps engineer, they may tell you provision a server with high compute capacity. You get provision a server with high compute capacity. Basically, so you should understand that compute is different. Provision a server with high memory optimization, high compute optimization, high, storage optimization, like that. You just basically, know the difference. We'll come into that when we are going deep into this. Then there's launch template. So what launch template does is that if you have like a very, very, if you have like a very, very sensitive configuration. So sometimes when you spin up a server, yeah, you'd want to create launch templates so that you can always use those settings, those templates. That's why they call it templates to create other instances. For example, now you create a server and within the server you configure within the server you configure something like Nginx, for example. The template that you use to create that server, instead of just using it to create the instance, you create a launch template. So whenever you want to create an instance, you just go to the launch template and to use those settings to create your server for you. For example, now there are 4 launch templates here. These templates now, if I want to create, these templates were probably created for one of my production instances that I've probably deleted. But let's just say I want to create that instance again. Now, instead of me to go and think of, oh, what are the configurations that I did to create that instance, I'll just create a launch template so that at any point in time when I need to, create that instance again, I just come and reference these templates basically. Then there are spot requests if you want to create sports servers. So spot servers are servers that are used to run batch jobs. They're not used to run long-term jobs, so that you will not spend money. and the rest. There's the savings plan. There's all types of instances, reserved instances. There's dedicated hosts. There's capacity reservation. Don't worry, we won't go deep into this, but we'll just touch the surface. We'll just touch the surface when we're talking about it. Then there's the AMI. So AMIs are images. The images of now. What are images? Just the same concept of when we're doing Docker. You understand? That same concept. When we're doing Docker, creating an image from a front-end image and a back-end image. That's just the whole concept. It's not as if it's basically what it is. It's the whole concept behind this. Now, what is this? You have a server already existing, not the one that you want to create from. You have a server already existing. Now you want to have a copy of that server, a copy of the configurations of that server, so they can use to launch other servers. You understand? That is what you use AMIs for. So AMIs create like an image of the server. Both the operating system, the settings and everything. It creates an image and then now saves it. So something happens now, probably your server crashes or something. You already have an image kept somewhere that you can always just use to spin another server. However, the only downside of this for storage is that it is not dynamic. So you just take the copy of the server at that point. So yeah, that's just basically it's not like dynamic per se. So, but people still use it, to create replicas of the server if they want to use it for any other thing. There's AMI catalogs, the catalog of different AMIs that you need to use. So there are already custom AMIs which we are going to someone is scribbling on my screen. Oh, I beg you in the name of God. Mr. Ayus, you're scribbling on my presentation. Anyways, there are sometimes when you want to create like a server from scratch. There are no AMIs that you have already stored. You want to create servers from scratch. Now there are already existing AMIs that you can use, which is what forms the operating system of your server. You understand? Amazon machine images, they are already, that's why they call them quick starts, commonly used AMIs. So they are commonly used one is Amazon Linux 2023. This is a Linux-based operating system that comes with 5 years support. It is optimized for AWS and designed to provide a secure, stable, and high-performance execution environment to develop and run your cloud applications. Same thing. Then there's the Mac OS. So if you want to AMI your server to run a Mac system, sometimes most of you, I know that it will not be a wise decision though. But sometimes most of you that are dreaming of buying MacBooks probably in the future, you can spin up a Mac, a Mac server and then play around with it. I'm not saying that you should do it because AWS comes as a pay-as-you-go service. It's a pay-as-you-go service. So the more you use it, the more the cost. So you have to be careful. There are the different Mac OS, there's a Sequoia, there's a Sonoma, then there's Red Hat, RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Yeah, so that's just it basically. Red Hat Enterprise Linux, general purpose. The Mac Ventura AMI is an EBS-backed AWS-supported image. This AMI includes the command interface for Xcode, and this one. This one is for Mac as well. There's the Red Hat, there's the SUSE. There are different ones. Now, this is the Ubuntu. So that Ubuntu now that we have been spinning up since on Vagrant. If you want to now get an Ubuntu server, we come here, use this one. Either Ubuntu 24 or Ubuntu 22. Can come here and use this one. So I'm not giving you now. These ones are Windows. If you want to create like a Windows server, this Windows server now create like a server that you Windows computer is basically but on the cloud. So there are a lot of them, both real and fake. Some are third-party AMIs, some are that belong to the vendor itself, like Microsoft, Amazon. So it depends. Now there's the volumes. Now these volumes now like storage, the same way you have your hard disks, the same way you have your Can anyone hear me now? Hello, please confirm you can hear me. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Mr. Elijah, please can you go off so that the host system will come back to me, please? I think I went network kicked me out for a bit. Go off and come back on, please. Don't end the meeting, no. Don't end the meeting. Just leave.
So is it me?
Yeah, I think the host privilege is on you now. So just don't end the meeting. Just leave. Don't end the meeting. Just leave the call and come back. So to come back to me, my cursor. Hello? Elijah, can you hear me? Let's move forward. Elijah, can you hear me? Please go off and come back. Ronald is not the host now. Okay, I won't say anything. I don't know what's going on here. Anyways, let me share my screen back. Ronald, can you hand over the host privilege back to me? So yeah, I'm waiting for you to do that. Ronald, if you can hear me, please hand over the host privilege back to my account. Anyway, let's move forward. So volumes are like hard drives. You know the way you used to have hard drive connected to your computer? They are like the storage house of your servers. Like for example, now you cannot buy a computer without having a hard drive to it, without having a space for stuff like flash drive, external hard drive, and the rest. So think of hard drives as volumes. That's what volumes are in this our case. So volumes are storage. I can decide to have like the way we have our laptops now, we can have 500 gig. The hard drive is 500 gig SSD. That's the same way this volume is. You can create a server now that has a storage of 128 gigs SSD and the rest. That's basically what volumes are. So whenever you're creating a server, you have to create proper storage for it. That's what volumes come to do. It's also expensive as well. It's not cheap. But yeah, basically. Yeah. Now snapshots. Snapshots are same way you used to back up volumes. So sometimes since volumes are storage, you would need to create snapshots of point in times. You call them point in time snapshots of the storage. So for example, now if I store file A, file B, file C, file D on my volume, which is like storing on my hard drive. If I take a snapshot means I'm making a copy of this hard drive and keeping somewhere. Now, what most people do is that they automate the provisioning of snapshots consistently. You understand? You can only take it or snap. So for every new file they add, for everything that they implement on their system, they take snapshots. So that in case something happens and your server crashes, you can easily go back to that snapshot. From that snapshot, you can create a volume back with all the files, with all the files that you have backed up. So it's basically like a backup system. Then from that volume that you create, you now attach it to another server, basically. You understand? So that's what volumes and snapshots do. It's under the Elastic Block Store, so they call it Elastic Block Store. Yeah, there's a lifecycle manager. Lifecycle manager. This is exactly what I just said now. Automate the creation, retention, and copy deletion of snapshots and AMIs. So this is it basically. We're going to set this up for you can set up like a cron job. I think I taught you cron jobs that any time for any point in the day you can create you should create a snapshot. You understand? It to keep on creating that snapshot and storing it for you. Now let's move on. Now there's also the networking part. So this is like a very, very comprehensive setup. There's security groups are the firewalls. So the same way you set firewalls on your server, to allow access to different ports. Most of you that did most of the assignments that involved firewalls, you do it here. Same thing, security group. That's what security groups are. There's the elastic IP. So one thing with EC2s is that whenever you turn off an EC2 and turn it back on, the IP address will change, which is sometimes is not a good thing. So for example, now, if I probably want to save costs, but I don't want to, turn off my server. I'm working on a system where the server only needs to be on in the day. But at night it doesn't come on. You turn it off at night. But now when you now realize that when you don't want to turn it back on in the morning, the server shuts down. Sorry, when you turn it back on in the morning, the IP address is different. It's always different. Now, that's where elastic IP address is coming. Elastic IP addresses create static IP addresses that never change. So if I create a static IP address and map it to a server, I'll create a static IP address, map it to a server. You understand? So instead of that server to constantly be changing IP addresses whenever it is shut down and start, it will use the static IP address, which is in this elastic IP address. You understand? So there will be just one IP address for the server. The only downside is that it's also expensive because you're actually like renting it. So that's what now there are placement groups. There's also key pair. Now, this key pair is also very, 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 very important. Key pair is what you use your server. So whenever you're creating a new server, you'll be asked to create a key pair. That key pair now is what will create the authentication. So what a key pair does is that it creates both a public key and a private key for you. You understand? The private key will be stored on your computer. Sorry, the private key will be stored in the server, while the public key will be downloaded in your computer. Now, when you want to SSH, the whole concept about SSH, secure shell access into your server, what it does is that once you put in the command to securely access your server, it does, the way you put in, you put in if you're using all these biometric locks now, you put in password or you put in a pin, it will go to your database and check if the pin is correct. If the pin is not correct, it will show you error. If the pin is correct, it will open your door. That's basically what it is. So once I create a key pair, once I put in the name of the key pair, the public key will be downloaded into my computer automatically. Then the private key will now be in that server that I want to attach this key to. So whenever I want to log in, if I log in and I put in the public key, it will now go and authenticate with the private key inside the server. And then once the team matches, I will get access to it. So that's just how it works. Very, very important. All servers must always have, there are two ways of setting up servers. Either you use a public private key or use username and password. But username and password is not really that secure, especially in production. So that's why a lot of people use SSH keys to access. Now the SSH keys are a network interface. Network interface is, and also the network interface, for all the connections that are connected to your servers. They're created using the network interface. And they are the load balancers. So what the load balancer is that, just like it says, it balances load. So if you don't want your server to be directly accessed from the internet, you can create multiple servers. Let's say you want to create 2 servers with the same software. But one of them now, you want traffic to go. Let me say now, if there are 10 people coming to your site, you want 5 of them to go to server A, the next 5 of them to go to server B, instead of the 10 of them going to one server, which will cause high traffic. You use a load balancer. So your load balancer automatically route the traffic. You can set it to anything. You can set it to probably based on latency, probably based on location and all those stuff. You can set it. So if people, for example, now one of your server is in US region, another of your server is in what they call it, Europe region, you can set your load balancer in such a way that I'm even confusing Google Cloud. Anyways, if one of your server is in US, one region in the one area availability zone in the US, and the other server is in another availability zone in the same US, the people that are closer to server B load balancer will route them to access server B. The people that are closer to server A, load balancer will route them to access server A. You can set it up like that to prevent lagging. So you'll see situations now where even if you have high internet, before your site will open, it will, because your server is quite far away from, where you're pinging it from. So that's why a lot of people get to use load balancer so that they can be able to reach servers that are close to them. Target groups, target groups where you set up what's your server. Target groups is where you set up what the load balancer should be able to route the traffic to. That's what target groups are. Now, auto-scaling groups. Auto-scaling groups are best ways to scale your server. So for example, now I want to have multiple servers when they are high traffic connected to one load balancer. And then when the traffic drops, I want the multiple servers to reduce. I can create auto-scaling groups. What the scaling group is that you will set a maximum, there's minimum, desired, and maximum. You can say minimum should be 1, your maximum should be 5, and your desired should be 2. So that your 2 servers now will consistently run on your load balancer. So whenever there's a high traffic, it will automatically spin up another load balancer until it gets to 5, which is the maximum you get. So it will help you to be able to manage traffic within your systems. Instead of just always manually creating new servers when when you want to, scale the application. So it's very, very important. So this is just basically the whole concept around EC2s for servers. I don't expect you to understand anything now until we start doing stuff. We'll talk extensively about AWS, but the bulk of this class will only be the bulk of this whole session, since it's a beginner class, will only be focused on EC2 and networking. We're not doing anything in deep. This is not an AWS class. We're just using it to be able to learn the fundamentals of DevOps and cloud. So you do EC2 and networking because that is the fundamental. Now, let's just practice how we're going to launch a server. So let's just say now you'll be asked to launch a let's just see. So let's click on launch instance. I don't know why his network is on. Okay. Launch instance is here. Let's just do it my first instance. Oh, my first instance here. Now we see there are different AMIs, application and OS images. This is where you select the operating system that you want to run your servers inside. You now select Ubuntu because we are used to Ubuntu. You can play around with this when you create your AWS account, but you must ensure that you delete, because AWS is a pay-as-you-go service. You understand? So the more you use, the more you pay. The more you use, the more you pay. It's not a post-paid, what they call it? It's not a prepaid service you get, where you will just put in, like, let me say $100 and you'll be using it till $100 finish. No, not a prepaid service, a postpaid service. So postpaid service is like, now I'm talking to you now, my current billing is 0.00. So if I spin up a server now and I leave it, it keeps on every hour to add, every hour to add, every hour to add. So it's per hour postpaid. Every hour to add, every hour to add, every hour to add. You just keep on adding till the end of the month, second of the month specifically, because I use AWS, so I know I receive the bill. Second of the month of the next month, they don't serve you bill for your email. Google Cloud serves you on the first. AWS serves you on the second. Azure serves you anytime they like within the month. So you should understand that. So please, whatever you're playing around with AWS, delete. Once the thing has worked, delete it immediately. So this is, except you're a big person that knows how to pay, that will know you pay. So this is a server. You select Ubuntu server 22. Me, I like 22 because in as much as 24 is latest, 22 is more stable. Now there's what they call the instance type. So the instance type now is what you will set, confirm change. I'm still wasting time now. So now you see, now there's T3 micro. This T3, now this T means bustable instance, meaning that it's like there are different series in an instance. There's the T series, there's the R, there's the M, there's the C. So C is for compute, M is for memory, R is for CPU. So if you want a server with high CPU optimization, you use the R series. You want a CV that's well optimized for memory. So if the application you want to deploy is very, very memory intensive, you use the M series. If you want a server that is very, 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 there's the R, there's the M, there's the C, compute optimized, meaning that it will use a very, very high computing power to run on the application. You use the C series. But if you now want a server that is a little bit of all of them, that's why they call them bustable instances, you use the T series, which is this that is here. So if I put on C, if I put on C, this one they're still showing me T series. Don't know why this AWS is hanging. So if I scroll down now, you see I can't even remember what I is specifically, but I'll find out. There's the I here. So there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them. There's the M. You can see the M here. There's the M. There are lots for the there's the R. So now, but let's use C. C is the one that we know, that we're familiar with, and that will not cost us. So there's the T3. T3. Now there's the Nano. You can see Nano here. Nano, what did they say? 2 vCPU, virtual CPUs, 0.5 gig memory. On demand, 0.0052 USD per hour. So if you're what I'm trying to tell you is that if you run a Linux AMI with this T3 Nano, this is what it's going to cost you. 0.0052 per hour. If you run a Windows, it costs you this 0.00. I don't know why I feel like I'm talking to myself, Sha. Please confirm you can hear me. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you,
So
sir.
there's no there's this one. There's now the T2 micro, T3 micro, 2 vCPUs, 1 gig memory. Same thing. So you're giving you the pricing. So it all depends on what you want to build your application. There's some applications like that you need a good amount of memory. It doesn't mean you need high memory. That's when you use the T series. For example, now you may be asked to deploy let's say Sonar Cube to a server. So now let me give you a secret. Most Docker installations are memory intensive. Let me give you that scoop now. So since our next assignment is going to, don't go and use M series, but since our next assignment is going to involve around Docker, know that anything that has to do with deploying Docker images, the first thing in your head should be memory. Do not use a low memory system for Docker. It will not run. Your container will be hanging. You understand? That's why if you notice, most people that install Docker on their laptop, it shows for their laptop. So for this particular situation now, if you want to deploy something that involves Docker, you use T3 medium. So you can see 2 vCPU, 4 gig memory. Same thing here, 2 vCPU, 8 gig memory. So this memory is where you have your RAM, random access memory. So that's what it is now. So just imagine your laptop now, 8 gig RAM. That's what this memory means. So this 8 gig memory, 2 virtual CPUs. There is the X large, there is a 2X large, 32 gig memory. So just like the way you have a 32 gig RAM laptop, that's what you're spinning here. You can see the cost of Linux 0.3328 per hour. So imagine leaving this thing or multiply this now for 24 hours in a day. That's what you're going to get. If you spin this thing up now and leave it to tomorrow, this price is multiplied by 3. That's what you're going to get. So that's why I said once you have tested, sometimes if you don't even test it, even if it's not working, off the server, shut down the server first before going to re-strategize. Because if you now leave it and say, oh, I'll just leave it while I figure out the solution, your bill is running now. Your bill is running. And except you want to abandon the account at the end of the month, you must pay it on the second. So yeah, basically, there are more. So what we're going to do for this test now, we're going to choose small. Because we're not going. Now, this is free tier eligible. This free tier eligible means that, so when you open your account for the first time, they will give you a free tier. Free tier means that you have access to certain resources that are free tier eligible for 750 hours in a month. You understand? So this one that you see free tier eligible, meaning that for the next 70, that's if you open an account new, it doesn't apply to me because I'm using this account 2022. For the next 750 hours in that month, you will not pay this money that you're seeing here. This 0.028, you will not pay it for 750 hours. So here you can feel free. So they are doing this to help new developers. But please, only bundles your 750 hours when you're actually doing core work. Don't go and run a server on because you assume, oh, 750 hours that is there. You understand? You just help, you're not wasting your hours. So it's better to invest those hours actually doing core work and ensuring that you're building stuff that is working. But it is not all services that are free tier eligible. Oh. So you have to know when you're building stuff, probably in your own free time, you have to check which one is free tier eligible. Free tier eligible means you have access to 750 hours free for 1 year, every month for 1 year. Once you get to the 12th month, the 13th month now, you're on your own. Oh. You're not building anything. You're not giving you any 750 hours free. Now you can see keeper. Keeper, this is the keeper. Now, I'm going to create a new keeper. I create a new keeper. A modal will pop up. Now I can keep my key payment class key. Class key. It's RSA. RSA is a special type of encryption which I normally use. There's ED25519. You can also use that as well, but me, I use RSA mostly. Key file format .pem. This is why I want to use .pem because me, I'm opening it with Open SSH, which is normal SSH. But there's a particular platform called Putty, PUTTY, that you can use to access your servers. If you're using Putty, you download this in this format. For me, I'm using SSH, so I use .pem. Now, if I click on create key pair, you will see it will automatically download the public key. You can see it here. Now, if you look at the top left of my screen, I use class ket instead of class key. Oh, you could never correct me, but anyways, nothing spoil. Class key.pem. This is the public key now to go and download it on my downloads folder in my laptop. We'll leave that. Now it has automatically selected the class kit, the name. So this one are network settings. When we get into networking, we'll explain it. VPC, which is the network that we're going to use, is the default. We're not changing anything. Subnet is the default. Auto assign public IP enable. So the reason why we enable this is just so that whenever the server is on, it automatically give it a public IP. Most people, especially for servers that they don't want access from the internet. So there's some servers that you don't want people from on the internet to be able to access. You understand? You won't want people from the internet to be able to access. You disable this. You go to edit and disable this. But we want our server to be accessed. So we keep it. So now create a security group. Now this security group now is the traffic that will be able to access the server. So you have SSH. SSH means that, oh, these people can, SSH means access to the server, which is ability to log into the server. So SSH traffic means that once they hit port 22, they'll access SSH. So you can see from anywhere, this from anywhere now is 0000, meaning that anybody on this instance, anybody on this that has access to this server with this key, they can access this instance. In a production scale, it's not safe, but for testing, we'll leave it. But most times, most people use my IP so that they will only be able to access it from their laptop. So the laptop that is powering, like this is my laptop now. But I don't like using my laptop because the IP address will change, can change only when you're using multiple service providers. So that's why I just use anywhere, or I just customize it basically. I can just come and be customizing it whenever my IP address change. But anyways, that one. So then there's HTTP traffic. This HTTP traffic is what will allow me to access the server from the internet. You understand? HTTP is like, when we talked about networking and the rest, HTTP is the web traffic. So whenever there's HTTP enabled in a server, meaning that server can be routed to the internet. Basically, so you enable the three of them. You can use HTTPS if you're using if you're doing that security, that lock that you normally see. Allow HTTPS. Now this is where you configure storage. So our storage now by default is 8 gig RAM GP2. There's GP2, these storage types. There's the general purpose SSD. You know the way you have your normal, the way you have your normal SSD, like 256 SSD. So this is the way you set it. GP2, GP are all different types of settings. The HDDs are not compatible with root volumes anymore. Must be SSD. So now the advanced details. So advanced details. So these are like the advanced stuff. So you can set some little settings here. There's termination protection. So this termination protection, once you enable it, you won't be able to terminate. So these are ideal for production instances. To enable termination protection, so nobody can just mistakenly come and delete the servers. There's stop protection, the same thing to enable it. Nobody can easily just come and delete these servers. Then there are the purchasing options. You can use different purchase options. So yeah, now the important one in this case is metadata, user data. So this user data now, if you want to do some configuration, so sometimes when your server is turned on, even before you enter the server, you want to run some configurations, like some installations that will run on boot time. For example, let me paint a scenario. Remember, that's when we want to install some setting. That time when we're using Windows 8 and the rest Windows 7, we want to install some setting software, but we want software to run and configure before the laptop starts. We'll put the CD at a point when the laptop is booting, and then it will run the configuration immediately. I don't know how that thing worked, but I've done something like that before. That's what this whole thing is. You can set some shell scripts that immediately, while your laptop is booting, you can run all those shell scripts. And when you got into the server, you just start working on the stuff. The only downside is that if your script does not work, you have practically wasted your time. So that's why you have to be sure that your script will work before actually trying it. Anyway, that's all for all these parts. That's all for it, basically. You can set the number of instances. So if you want these instances to be 2, you can set it to 2. Now you can see the information about free tier. In your first year of opening an AWS account, you get 750 hours per month of EC2 micro instance usage or EC2 micro kini. 750 per month of public IPv4 addresses. So those IP addresses now, you get 750 per month. So whenever this assigns an IP address to your server, whether it is elastic or not, you're actually paying for it per hour. So, but for free tier, you get 750 hours. You get also 750 hours of EBS storage. So that your volume now, sorry, I see 750 hours, 30 gig of EBS storage. So that your volume now. So this your volume now that you set is 8 gig. You have 22 gig more. You get. So if I want to create the server now and I put 8 gig is minimum, basically. So if I create a server now and I put 30 here, meaning that any new server that I want to create next, they're going to charge me for it because I've already exhausted the 30 gig for this month. 1 gig of snapshots. 1 gig of snapshots. So yeah, basically. So, but this one does not apply to me because whether I put 8 or 30, they'll still be me because I've passed my free tier. But I'm just telling you people that will go and open new accounts. So let's just to launch instance. So we're going to launch instance. We're going to launch an instance. You can see successfully initiated launch of instance. When we click here, you see I can see your instance summary. This is the ID of your instance. I.00F9 kini. This is your instance ID. You get this is what is like your instance identifier. Now this is your public IPv4 address. Your public address that you use to access from the internet. It is this address now that you will put in a domain name. So this is the address that you put in a domain name. So when somebody clicks www.xyz.com, it will route the traffic from that domain name to your IP address and then show them what they need to see. Show them what they need to see. Private IP address. Private IP address, same thing. This private IP address is for server to server communication. It's not meant for the internet. There's a public DNS. This public DNS now is the same thing too. If you don't want to use the IPv4 address, you can put this one as well and to also access from the internet. Like a domain name, but this one is like it's like a AWS given domain name itself that you can use to access this instance. Yeah, there's just a lot to see. There's the instance type that we saw. There's the VPC ID. There are just a lot you can see. So let's just try to connect this instance. Let's connect to this instance. Click on connect here. You see this. Now the command to connect, you see SSH-I class. This is the nonsense key that we created. Now you see Ubuntu. This is the user that we are going to use. This is by default. This is your default user. It's not the root user, but it's the user that was created for you. You understand? It's not the default user, but it's the user that was created for you. So this is the host name that we're talking about. This is the host name. So let's go to our CLI. For those of you that are using Ubuntu or are using Mac or are using Kini, go to the place where your key downloaded in. Me, I like to do it like that. See, if I open my file explorer now, if I go to downloads, I would see class key.pem. Look at where this is downloaded in class key.pem. I will see the into downloads. Me, I'm using Git Bash. Oh, my other Ubuntu laptop is not available right now, so I'm using my Windows to get this done. If I go to downloads,
We can't see your screen.
oh, okay. Sorry about that. Oh, sorry. But entire screen. So yeah, sorry, what I was showing you is that if you check here, you see that classKate.pem downloaded in my downloads folder. So I'll go to downloads folder. Yeah, if I was on Ubuntu, I would have just gone to where my downloads was, but I'm on my Windows laptop now. Anyways, so downloads. I'll now go and get first thing I need to do by default. By default, that your key is not protected. Let's do this. If I do ls /LAH class key .pem. What do you see here? Please, can someone tell me the permission level of this key, please? If you tell me the permission level of this key, I'm going to add 10 to 15 marks. If you don't, I don't know the incentive I'll give, but I'll add 10 marks to your next assignment. Whether you submit late or not, I'm going to add 10 marks to it. Tell me the permission level of this. Interpret this class key.pem the way it is for me. With all the things I've taught you in Linux and Shell.
All right, can I do that?
Yes, go feel free.
All right. The permission is that the user have read and write privileges, while
Okay.
group have only read privilege,
Good.
and others have
Good.
only read privilege as well.
Very good. I'm happy. I'm very, very happy. Now, is this a file or a directory? And how do you indicate it?
All right, it's a file because there is no D at the beginning. If it's
God
just
will
that,
bless you. God will
yeah.
bless you. Please, who is the person that said this thing? I can't see my screen now. Please identify yourself. Is this Ayus that said it?
Ayus, correct.
Okay, very good. I know now you when I tell you be boss. Anyways, so the main rule of thumb here is that we need to make this file only readable. Because if we try to use this now to do the SSH, it will bounce us because they will say the permission is too open. Because someone can just come and write to it. So what will we do now to make this file readable? To do arrow, arrow, arrow. Someone else should talk, or the next same person should talk. What will we do to make this file only that users can only read? They cannot modify. Groups can only read, they cannot modify. Someone should answer me now.
I think you use the command chmod 444 and then the file name. So 4 is for read.
Okay.
Permissions to each of them.
Yep, that's also valid as well. That's very valid. You can also use Shimon 400. So instead of just setting, because since these ones are already on read, you just leave the other group as 0. So you can do change mode. You got that one right. Change mode 400. You can still leave it as change mode 444 as well. Use your own class k.pem. So if you go back and look at it, you can see now that it's only what? Read. Thank you very much for your awesome feedback. So we'll now do SSH. Now SSH now is this -i. This -i now is telling you, let me just go and copy it from here so I won't make mistake. A copy from here. You can even see itself. It's here. Ensure your keys are not publicly viewable. It's here. So you come here. But let me even make it 400 so that the other groups and others can't even read that up. But you can still work like this though, but 400. Okay, yeah. So let's do this. So if I paste this that I copied, now I can see SSH.I. So this -i now is you're trying to show the key. So the key now is class key. The reason why I'm pressing the key here because we're under the downloads folder. So very classic. Now this is Ubuntu -EC2 This is it. So we enter. So once we enter now, you can see what it's telling you. The authenticity of host cannot be established because this is the first time we're entering the server. This is the only time it's going to ask this question. This is why I'm asking the question because this is the first time we're entering this server. You understand? So it's trying to let you know, are you sure you want to continue? You click yes. That's a permanently added kini to the list of known hosts. That means if you try to SSH again, not asking this question. Now you can see now we are inside. I'm sure most of you that did Vagrant and all those things, you're familiar with how this environment looks. You can now see 22.1% of 757 gig. Remember, we did 8 gig when we're doing storage, when we're setting the server. We did 8 gig. The computer, the processing system already taken 0.5. So you can see 0.5. So that means this server now is like an 8 gig memory. So it's like we have put a 8 gig hard drive to it, and it's telling us that we have only used 22.1% of it. So anything we are doing within this server must not pass 8 gig. So if you are running highly memory intensive applications, you're on your own because it will start hanging. So rule of thumb number 1, when you are doing that Docker assignment, you are not going to use small that we used here. You're going to use medium or large. Let me give you that one because Docker installation alone, the memory consumption is high. That's it. So we can see this. We are in the server now. We can do sudo apt update. If we were time now, we could have spinned up a Windows server for you. So you will see basically the way you will see a Windows server just the way on my computer is. You see the start button, you see all these things here. One thing with Windows server is that it's more graphical user interface friendly, unlike Linux that is a command line. Anyways, so yeah, this is it. We are inside. So now for the next phase of your assignment, now that you know what an EC2 is, I'm telling you beforehand so that you prepare your mind. You are going to create an EC2 server. This EC2 key that we downloaded, you're going to copy it and put in your GitHub secrets. Now, when you deploy it to Docker Hub, that's the CI, based on this current test that is there now, you will still do the whole step again from the beginning. What you will do is when you deploy it to CI, your pipeline should do all those build, test, and push and everything. Push to Docker Hub. You will now come and update. The Docker Hub, the Docker Compose or YAML file with the image name, the latest image name that has been pushed to Docker Hub. You update the Docker Hub. Now, after the update has been done, you will SSH into your server with your pipeline. So your pipeline should be able to SSH into your server. Once it SSHs into your server, you copy that Docker Compose file from your GitHub that's been updated. Now, no, when you even SSH into the server, it will check whether Docker has been installed. You can write the GitHub pipeline. It will check whether Docker has been installed. If Docker has not been installed, it should install Docker. Do all the installations from the pipeline. It should install Docker. When it's installed, because I would have said you should manually come and install it here before running the pipeline, but no, your pipeline should do that work because that's what automation is. You should install the Docker. If you check whether Docker is installed, if it's not installed, you should install it. Now you should copy that Docker Compose file into, it will install Docker and Docker Compose, yes. It will install Docker and Docker Compose. Now copy that updated Docker Compose file into the server. Now go and do Docker Compose up in the server. So your result of that test is anytime you do git push, in 5 minutes, this entire pipeline should run from building to test to push to updates to SSH into the server to checking if Docker is installed to copying the latest. So it will update. So if there's already a Docker Compose file, the new update should override the one so for example, now if I update my image name from A to B, it will go and update the image name on the server from A to B without changing, just change only that print that has been updated. They use the command rsync. I'm giving you expo. Thank God it's a recording. Use the command rsync to do that update manually to the server. Then run Docker Compose again. Docker Compose up. So once you click Docker git push, 5 minutes from git push, refresh your server, the change should be implemented because that entire pipeline has run automatically. That's your next assignment. That's why I'm taking you, do the last one, do this current one, and this is your next one. Once your next one, you have a proper understanding of what CI/CD. So yeah, I'm done with for today. Any question?
So, my question is regarding the assignments.
Okay.
Right. The task 5 assignment, it also involve the deployment to the AWS, right?
No, task 5 does not employ involvement to AWS. Task 5 only deploys deployment to Docker Hub, deployment of your images to Docker Hub. That's where it ends. It is task 6 that is going to come in 2 weeks that will involve this. By that time, you have proper understanding of AWS.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So you do that whole pipeline. You will do that entire pipeline so that once you do git push, once the developer does git push, it should run that whole pipeline down to the server. So if your listing is green, if it run that update and show on the server. Really. So okay, because since we're trying to minimize cost, you're not going to keep your server running till like Mac. But what I need to do is you are going to show me a web interface, an IP address of a server. You are going to show me an IP address or a DNS name of a server and show me the content of the Docker Compose up that's running in that server. Don't know this one that you people come and manipulate and come and keep. Everybody must show that screenshot to pass. I don't even need screenshot of a Docker Hub environment anymore. Show me that screenshot. Show me, first of all, show me the green. Show me the green that your pipeline passed. Show me that green mark. Once you show me that green mark, show me the IP address showing the content of that front end, back end, and DB. Show me the content. Once you show me the content, once that's run, then we'll move to the next step. Any question of the day?
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. From the beginning of the class tonight, you mentioned that if we want to open an account, AWS account, that we should use some virtual dollar account, but I couldn't get the name.
Gray. There's a particular question called gray. Open
Please, can you spell it? CRE.
Gray, GREY, Gray. Go and look for gray.co. Sign up and open an account with them. Request for a virtual card. They will give you the virtual card. I think it's about $3 or so, or $2. Then once you get to use the virtual card to open an AWS account. Any more questions?
What of Azure? Can we use Azure?
No, Azure is not part of the scope of this course. We're using AWS. Please. It's not from me. It's from the elders of the land. Like I said, if you know Azure, fine, but this is a new learning process. So we're using AWS.
Sorry, it's not as if I have a question. I just wanted to maybe give advice to those people that wants to open accounts in AWS.
Okay, feel free.
Yeah, I think the last time I posted a LinkedIn link on how I got $300 credits from AWS.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe people that actually maybe went through the process, register and apply for the 300 probably would have gotten theirs now if they followed the link that I posted.
Okay.
So it will help a lot if we have at least $300 in our account, just in case maybe we make any mistake to go and click anything that is going to bill us.
Yeah.
We might be in safe hands. So I don't know, maybe after this class, I'll post the link again. Just go through on how to register for AWS.
Me, I actually have some credit in my own account. It's actually very helpful. Very, very helpful because sometimes if we go over click now, you see check in your email at the end of the month.
Yes, because me, I had to learn the hard way because I had to initially I was just paying. I would just go and click one thing I don't know. Before you know there is bill and I don't want to give up the account, I will just go and pay. So I had to follow.
I've paid upwards of 50,000 on AWS before now because of one networking interface that I forgot to delete. So that's why I'm encouraging everybody. If you can get that $300, perfect, because it will allow you to be flexible in the play that you'll be playing on AWS.
Exactly.
So yeah.
After the class, I'll just post the link again. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate that. We all appreciate that. Is there any more question? All right, so that being said, thank you very much for today's class. Do have a wonderful weekend. Thank God it's Friday. Reach out on the Discord channel and to your classmates and to your guys in the group if you have any question that you need help with. Please, I need to see a good amount of submissions for tax 4 and 5 before Sunday. Then so you're preparing for tax because tax is basically you are doing the same thing again. Just that this one you're adding an extra flair to it. Please don't forget for this tax 5, you have to do it in a new repo, in a new branch. The same repo in a new branch. So that you continue instead of overwriting what you submitted in tax 4, you just continue it in a new branch. I reference that you can go and watch it in the last video. So yeah, that being said, thank you.